Okay, today we have the Olympus OM1. I love this camera. I never shot it professionally. I was always working with a Nikon, but the Olympus OM1 is a beautifully small bodied camera. It doesn't have a lot of mass. They were trying to make a very small camera that would appeal to people looking to get away from the weight of those big Nikons, like the F and the F2. And they really succeeded. It's a really simple camera. It has all mechanical shutters. You may have heard me mention in the other videos, any of the OM series with a single digit, the OM 1, 2, 3, or 4, are all their top of the line cameras. And the 10 and the PC, they're all more of an amateur build. This camera is solidly built. It uses a battery for the meter that is a PX13, which is not available anymore because it's a mercury battery. So you have to find an alternative. There are wean cells out there that are zinc air, but the problem with those is they don't last very long. They have a very short life once they're opened, and they're expensive to buy. They're like $10 a battery. So if you find one of these, you can negotiate it down because there is no mercury battery available for it anymore. There are alkaline substitutes, but they're not as good as the mercury. Mercury was known for having a very consistent battery life up until the point where it died, and then it just dropped off altogether. So the shutter and the metering was highly accurate up until the point where the battery died. Whereas alkaline has more of a curve to the way it falls off, and because of that curve, there's some fluctuation in the metering. I like the fact that their lenses are really nicely built. They have a real soft focusing, dampening. I like the build quality of everything to do with this Olympus OM1. It has your ASA ISO film speed dial up here. It's got your shutter release. It's got your on-off switch to save the battery, which only, again, works the meter. It doesn't do anything for the actual shutter. The shutter is completely mechanical. And the shutter is actually set on this camera around the collar here. That's where you set your shutter from, not up here, which is the most typical place. This has a hot shoe on it, so you can put a flash on it. What's interesting about this is they were removable. So I'm not a flash guy. I typically will use an off-camera flash, or I'll use a all-natural light. So if I'm shooting in this camera, I could probably just take that off and remove it and get rid of it so it's not in the way. It's not one more thing I have to carry around that I won't need or use. This has a little bit of gunk on it still from the pass sticker that they used to put on them. I'd probably take a little Goo Gone to get that off there. That wouldn't be a big deal at all. Again, there's not a whole lot to it. There's a little contraption here that flips the mirror up in case you want to do any mirror up shots. Sometimes if you're shooting at a real slow shutter speed, when you hit the shutter, the mirror will vibrate the camera a little bit. If you need absolute precision, you can flip the mirror up before you take the shot. So now it's a little quieter and a little simpler versus the sound of this. Can you hear the mirror difference? So that's nice. It's got a mirror lockup. Your rewind knob is right here instead of on the bottom like most cameras of the old film SLRs. It's actually right here. You just turn that to rewind the film, and then you rewind the film right here. So there's not a lot else on it. There's no place for a motor drive. There's a battery compartment. That's all that it really can take. You can get a lot of Olympus lenses really inexpensively, and they're great quality. I love them. Nowadays, I am shooting with an OM1, sometimes with a 2 and a 3 as well, and I like them. I like the build quality. I like the fact that they feel good in my hands. They're not super heavy. So that's the Olympus OM1. I recommend it a lot, but check it out. Make sure the shutter speeds are working. Here's the 30th of a second. I always do this in all my tests. And you should be able to hear a difference between a 30th and a half a second. And I hear it. Here's an 1/8 of a second. So the shutters seem to be working. At least they seem to be different from each other. There's a 500th. Again, what I'm looking for is to see that they're approximately changing, and hopefully they're accurate. It's an all mechanical shutter, so if it's close, you're going to be fine because film has some latitude. These are older cameras. Make sure the shutters are working. If somebody sells it to you and the shutter won't fire and it won't advance, there's a problem. It's all mechanical. There's nothing else that should be holding it up from working except for those controls. So take your time, check it out, make sure it looks like it's working. Set it to a small aperture like an f/16. You should be able to see the aperture clicking shut. Put it at a slow shutter speed, like 1/4 of a second. You should be able to see it. Can you see that? Okay, so again, you should be able to tell that the camera has the ability to change the lens setting, everything is working. You can test that all out before you buy it, and you'll save yourself some money in repairs because you can tell it's already working. If you have any chance to do a test, run a raw film with it, that would be great. But again, open up the back, take a look inside. These use a cloth shutter instead of a metal shutter like the Nikons. You can blow out some of the dust in here. The foam looks okay, although it looks a little sticky on this side, right in here. So the foam's getting a little sticky, but I don't see any debris in there. I don't see any pieces flaking off, so I probably would use it as is. You can see how the shutter looks. It crosses over from right to left. So it's a horizontal shutter. The inside looks pretty clean. Everything seems to be turning when I advance the lever. So again, maybe a little bit of dusting in here. It's a little bit dusty. And I would put film in it and use it. You can find these for under $100. You can certainly find them sometimes for $20, $30, something like that. And it's the Olympus OM1. They also made an OM1N. That's also an upgrade from this one, or at least a later model. There's different opinions as to which models were their best ones and which versions. I'll check the OM1 on another video. I think that one may have taken the newer battery, but I'm not positive about that. I'll take a look at that. So anyway, that's the Olympus OM1. Highly recommended from a build quality, a really nice bright viewfinder, and a good information inside to help you set the exposure. If you use a battery, get one of those alternative batteries. Or Sunny 16 works great with this camera. You don't need to deal with any battery at all. And I bet if you do that for a month, you won't need any battery at all because you can guess exposures with film. It's pretty simple. Look up Sunny 16. All right, that's the Olympus OM1. I'll have more for you. Take a look at some of the other videos, hit the subscribe button, and let me know if you have any questions. And please, if you get one of these, post some pictures. We'd love to see them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.